as I try to push this out. We're going to talk about scholarships today. You up for it?
Absolutely.
All right. Jay, how would you define the scholarship just in general?
Yeah. So, hey, scholarships, free money, free money, free
Yes.
money, scholarships, and free money and something that can give you gratification. Those are the two simple areas that I try to tell students to have, especially writing a scholarship essay. It's free money. There's so much money that's left on the table, millions of dollars, billions of dollars, and so,
Listen, Jay,
yeah,
to say the word billion is an understatement.
absolutely.
It's crazy. All right, let's start here. What are the common myths about scholarships? You know them, I know them. I'll start off. I'll say one of them. Ready?
Yep.
I'm a parent talking, or a student. I'm not eligible. I make too much money.
Yep. Yep. That's the exactly. And that if you let yourself believe that, then you'll never get any scholarships. And that's so untrue. And it's a myth that unfortunately a lot of people they believe. And so that doesn't have any bearing no matter what. Scholarships are there no matter if you have a 4.0, 3.0. There are so many scholarships that that's the other myth. I have to have a 4.0.
Jay, I have
No,
good news. I have good news. Even a 2.0 will get you there. But listen,
absolutely.
Why? What's the mindset of people, right? We talked about the mindset piece before.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why do people think they're not eligible for scholarships?
Because they think it's just about grades, and it's so much more than that. So much more than that. For example, leadership. Do you serve others? Do you do community service? Do you do outreach? Do you coach? What are some talents? Are you in the music group? Do you do, and so helping others that speak of your achievements academically and professionally. And that's the other area many forget about is the leadership capabilities. I've seen it so many times. Students that maybe only have a 2.0, but what gets them that scholarship? They have so much more than that student who has a 4.0. Why? They show that they have these professional standards like leading in the community. Because let's face it, when you go to college and you're starting to represent others and you eventually want to get a job, that employer wants to know how well you're going to represent that company. So when you show that at an early age, that's huge.
I just a light bulb went off. Let's not worry about so much about merit scholarships and those traditional scholarships that people think about, right? Let's just branch off for a second because we all know that I think or have that mindset that it's grade related. But let's talk about maybe non-merit based, non-academic based scholarships. Like for example, and I did some research on this. There's one for blue-eyed people.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Everybody out there can laugh, right?
Yep.
It's almost hard to believe, but there is.
Yep. Absolutely. There are scholarships for, HVAC, welding, construction workers. I mean, it's obviously student athletes. And so there's so many different, areas. And this is the one area that I see a lot of students miss. Local in their own local community, and especially local businesses. We just had it in my local area. A local business gave out a $500 scholarship. Some other businesses gave out $1,000. When you add that up, and then here's the other kicker: some students think, "Hey, I have one scholarship. I'm set." No, I've had numerous students. They've received 4 or 5 scholarships to add close to $10,000.
Yeah.
So it's those common little myths that students just assume either A, they're not there, 2, I got to have a 4.0, 3, they don't give very much. And so those are so many, but here's the thing, they all add up.
They do.
And
I know.
so.
One second, Jay, 1 second.
Yep.
Sorry. All right, sorry.
Got the lights just right.
My charger was associated to my plug here. So, but again, why? I don't want to keep going on about it, but why is it? It seems like people would rather take out a student loan than
Right.
go explore a scholarship.
Yep. Yep.
You brought up a good point
And
though about the
yeah,
trades, right? The
yeah,
trades.
yeah. And believe me, I was one of them. I was there before. I was lazy. I didn't want to apply and go around. Now back then, of course, you had to go around knocking on or going into business, and I was very personable. I just didn't want to take that extra step and
Yeah.
talk to someone to say, "Hey, I'm going to college. Would you like to support me in this scholarship?" And so so I didn't want to do it, but I did
Yeah.
eventually, and I realized, wow. Now I was on more of a scholarship GPA wise, but I still, that's the other common myth. Just because I have a 4.0, you can still get scholarships. You can get merit based and need based, and so they can work simultaneously. Now, if you get merit based, you're probably obviously you don't need as much need based. But the other thing too, I want to stress to students, because this happened to me. Just because you get rejected from a scholarship, don't let that deter you from applying to other scholarships, because it may not be, in my case, they just ran out of money. It wasn't because, oh, they didn't see me as a good fit. They didn't see me as a good student. The community foundation, they just ran out of money. And so some students can take it personally and say, geez, you know what? I applied for it. They didn't give me the scholarship, so I'm done. Don't do that. Don't have that negative, let that affect you, because sometimes they won't tell you. They'll just write you a letter saying, we thank you for applying for the scholarship, but this and that. And so for me, they didn't tell me that. I did find out through another source that they just ran out of money, and that's okay. They had a cutoff. Mm-hmm. So don't let that deter you. Keep applying.
And you always go back next year. Hey, with that said, what's the earliest one should start looking for scholarships?
Yeah, so hey, the sooner the better. And that's, and so obviously I know seniors that get scholarships. Here's the other thing. You could be in college and still get scholarships. And that's the other thing too, is no matter where you are, you can apply for scholarships, because now even in college, there are students who are getting scholarships while in college, on top of the scholarships they already have. And so in terms of high school, of course, I waited until I was a senior. I wouldn't do that, because when you do that, what tends to happen? You stress out, you're short of time, and therefore you don't want to apply to as many, because at that point you're like, well, they're going to realize I'm waiting until my senior year to apply for scholarships. So do yourself a favor and around your sophomore year, which is 10th grade, start looking and start applying. And especially junior going into senior year, that's when you really want to zero in on, especially look locally first, of course, national scope too. But once again, zero in on local communities, so I would say junior to senior year, definitely. But here's the other thing. Here's the other factor that is such a big component. So many students don't realize the place they're actually working at, whether that's part-time and full-time while in high school, offer scholarships. So, hey, do yourself a favor. And I know mine did. And it's just like, whoa, I didn't even know it. So you obviously, if you're working there, you're already there. People already know you, and you set yourself up for success.
But to that point, Jay, even though the workplace may offer it, I don't know. Right. Correct me if I'm wrong. What do I know? They're not flaunting it.
Right. That's another great point. And so they don't publicize it as much. Here's the reason why. They want you to approach them, And so I found that with my couple of my scholarships, where my local store that I was working at, just as a grocery bag or a cart getter, whatever you want to call it. And so, yeah, I held the record for carts, pushing carts, and then it was broken by my brother.
That was you. Yeah,
that was me. But anyway, so a lot of times they don't publicize it. And it's not because they don't want to, hey, we don't want you to apply for it. A lot of times they want you to do your own research and do the research to say, hey, I understand there's a scholarship here. I'm looking to further my education,
Yeah.
and I understand there's a scholarship, and here's my letter, or here's what I'm looking to do. Are you willing to support me in this endeavor? Yeah, so that is very true, and you'd be surprised how many uh, students just assume that, and because they assume it, they miss out on the scholarship.
Hey, if you're giving out money, you want somebody to take the initiative, right? Put some skin in the
Absolutely.
game. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. What's the difference between merit versus need based?
Yeah, so obviously merit based is obviously if you have high academic standards and achievement, your GPA is high. Usually a 3.5 4.0 will get you pretty high merit scholarship. Obviously I know a lot of schools now are test optional, but I always say even those colleges that are test optional, meaning you don't have to they don't look at your SAT or ACT scores. I still say this: still take the ACT, SAT scores because that will help you when it comes to a scholarship. Help you and help, especially as you get into those institutions, help your cause. And
Mm-hmm.
so. And then here's the other one: leadership plays a part. Maybe you're a student athlete. Maybe you're in arts. And so in saying merit based, it's all about your academics and the standards. And so whereas need based is more so obviously relying more on financial aid, your financial circumstances. So
Mm-hmm.
you have your the different like Tap and Pell and all the all these grants that you don't have to pay back. In terms of if you do get qualified for Tap and Pell. Now, obviously, other areas where, like a loan that you have to take out, like a Stafford loan or whatever, for school, yes, you do have to pay that back. But that requires like a FAFSA that you would have to fill out. And then the other thing too is merit based and need based can be combined. And so I see that a lot. That's
Interesting.
not. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's common. But they can be combined, and I've seen it where students get scholarships for both,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah. So keep that. I always tell students keep that. Just always keep an open mind. Uh, that's why I always tell. I mean, obviously, filling out the FAFSA is huge because that's really going to dictate. Obviously, do you need more need based or merit based, or can you get one or the other or both? And so. The FAFSA is huge, and we at Elite Scholars Prep here, we help you do that.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's much easier now. You can do it digitally, things like that. I remember printing it off way back in the day, and just it can be cumbersome, and so. But all in all, it as with time, it's gotten easier, to fill out and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like the difference between merit based, need based. But they both obviously have their advantages.
Okay. So I'm looking at my cheat sheet here. Let's talk about GED students.
Yeah.
Are they eligible?
Yes, yes, and you'd be surprised how many. I know my institution. I know a lot of institutions allow for this and offer specific aid, and even scholarships. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, it's not where you start; it's how you finish. And you cross the line, and so I've seen this more, with specifically the last couple of years, GED students and making something of themselves, no matter what the circumstance was, whether it was family or whatever it may have been, hardship. They were very smart students. It was just the timing. It was just the circumstance. And so organizations and institutions are realizing, hey, we want to offer scholarships here. We want to help financial aid here. So yes, for those students, that is available.
I guess that right, the GED and high school diploma are equivalent. So why would they not?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. What about transfer students?
Yep. Transfer students. This is the one, and we're both, in terms of transfer students. So for me, I received a scholarship. It wasn't huge, but it was enough. Now I was on more of a merit base. I was on scholarship too, but yes,
you were smart. You were
thing.
Smart, Jay. That's why.
So now I will say this: more institutions are offering this to attract more transfer students in terms of the scholarships. And so a lot of students assume. I just had this conversation the other day with a couple students, transfer students. A lot of transfer students assume, well, I already received a scholarship, when when I was in high school, when I was going to college or my first 2 years, but I don't think I can get any more. So that's always the assumption, it seems like. And I always have to tell them, no, there are many scholarships, for transfer students. They just don't look, and they just assume there aren't any out there.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hit the pause button for a second. Here's a question. I'm needing advice on what I should do with my career. The relevancy to scholarships. Could there be one? Maybe. You want to talk to me about that?
Yeah. Scholarships are always, always an important route to take. And I think that the one recommendation I can make, and I always make to students, and it's something I didn't do at first because once again I was lazy, and it's always easy to look back and admit our mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But it takes time to do your research on scholarships, and most importantly, organizations that offer scholarships that most importantly align with your morals and values and what you want to get out of life or where you want to go to college. I knew a couple students. They're going for business, and so they're friends of ours, and they're looking to have their kids go to specific schools that specialize in that, and they realize that they're the place where they're really kind of interning but getting field experience. Whatever you want to call it. I wouldn't call it an internship because they're young, but it's more of an intern or more of an experience, and their place of experience or employment, I guess, offers merit-based scholarships to for Future Business of America. And so and we have other friends that are like Future Farmers of America, and they offer scholarships because they want to see you succeed. So sometimes it's just Googling it. And a lot of times it's I just did this with another student when I was advising, Googling local scholarship in his area, and he was floored. Literally 3 businesses on his, right down the road from where he lives offer scholarships, and
They're
so you're out there. You just keep looking.
Here's my question. So let's get back to the transfer scholarship or the transfer student, right? Typically after your associate's degree-ish. What's in it for this school? I'm trying to follow the logic from a business perspective. So you have about 2 years. We'll assume 2 more years of you transfer into the thing. Why does the school want you when in theory they're only probably getting 2 years really from you out of the 4-year tuition?
Yeah. So more schools, most importantly, believe it or not, a lot of the retention and a lot of the first year students retention, but the enrollments have been declining. However, at some institutions, more institutions, the transfer students is increasing. And one way to do that is offering more scholarships.
Makes sense.
And so they see it as more of a long-term solution, current and long-term, whether you want to call it a short-term answer, but hopefully a long-term solution to this whole enrollment crisis that's going on at campuses. And so to attract, I'm seeing in a lot of institutions around my area, to attract more students, especially transfer students, they're offering more of these transfer scholarships to be more attractive to these students.
Makes sense.
And then, the other part of this is that I've been seeing a lot more. I know our institution does this, is transfer students, once they come in, we have articulation agreements with grad schools. So it's more like you spend, after you transfer in, you spend 1 year, 1 year taking that college's courses, and then you're immersed right into the partnerships college grad program for a year and a half. And so it's like an incentive, to get college done faster and get your master's degree faster at sometimes half the cost. True. So more schools are trying to overcome this overcome this enrollment crisis by offering transfer students with these more lucrative incentives.
Okay, here we go, Jay. I want to know if I should or not, based on my current career and work history, etc. Can you depict that? I'm not sure what that means. But
what I should major in. Okay. And if I do, what I should major in. Work history, okay, let me read that. I want to know if I should or not based on my current career. And this comes from, okay. So depending on your career, right. So I wonder if they're asking, maybe you're at a crossroads. So it's like, do I go back to college? And if I do, what major should I, go in? And right now, I always say the healthcare industry is booming because you need nurses, yep. And you need doctors. And so healthcare, but you can work in so many different areas, specialties within healthcare, from medical sales to, medical professionals. It's so big, right? And so, yep. And depending on how far you want to take that, you can go in different specialties. So some careers, it's only 2 years, other careers, it's 4 years. I always say this recommendation, especially as we work with students here at Elite Scholars Prep, is make a list of pros and cons, what you want to get out of your job. Like, what's your why statement? Why do you want to go into this specific career? And what do you want to get out of it? And most importantly, is it going to be financially smart for you to make that choice, right? And so sometimes that is, well, if you have scholarships to cover it, merit or need-based, doesn't make sense for you to do that. However, if your cons outweigh your pros, okay, I always tell students, stick with your job, save up for college. So therefore, if you ever get to the point where you want to make a career move, you can now pay in college rather than take out loans. You can take class by class and pay in cash, whereas it's not putting a financial stress and burden on your family.
Well, with that said, then they have to connect with you, Jay, because that
Absolutely.
alone, yep. Saving for college thereafter is tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I see another one. I'm 5 years in management, but I'm currently a banker. I'm 23. Okay, that's great. You have management experience. Wow. Of course, Tom, you can speak to that, being in business. But yeah, that's great. I'm curious though too, being a banker, I wonder if the organization, depending on what bank or credit union it may be, they may take care of your education. So many students now, hey, what's the worst thing they can say? No. Okay. Yeah. But so many, I will say this, when I worked part-time at a bank way back in the day during college years, they did. Now they paid enough for my books. So, it's something. Now that was years ago. So who knows what, it's worth always checking. And then the other part of this is if they can't, or if they don't, I'm willing to bet they know someone who can, or maybe could for you.
Okay. So let me just piggyback off that 5 years of experience in business. So, and you kind of made this segue for me. Yes. For me, here, I'm a prime example. A good 5 years into it back when, hooked up with two organizations that I worked with. I won't name the names, but they each paid for my tuition.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. It was a path. It wasn't like, here's the cash, go do it. I had to do it in increments. But hey, that's awesome. 23, 5 years of experience,
Yeah. And I see he just had they will, but they have some stipulations. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Depending on what those stipulations are, maybe you got to work there so long. 5 years, that you're building up a great reputation.
Yeah.
5 years. And so one stipulation could be that. Maybe the other stipulation is you got to choose who they're partnering with in terms of the colleges.
True.
True. like Walmart, they have like a select choices that you can pick from in terms of colleges. And so maybe that's another stipulation.
Yep.
But hey, now obviously the other thing you weigh is, well, what if I don't want to go to one of those colleges? I'm willing to bet if a bank has a partner college, they probably have a major in bank or business, and so
I'd say do it. If you can do
Absolutely.
it and get there for free or close to nothing. Yeah. Let me just Jay, real quick. The Walmart piece. Walmart has, right to your point, a program.
Yeah.
You have one of 7 colleges to choose from. But the cool part is, and this happened a couple of years ago, they offered it to both part-time and full-time associates.
Yep. And that's a key point. A lot of people think, and employees think, oh, I'm part-time, I won't qualify. Now I get it. Walmart's the biggest retailer, so they're able to offer part-time employees, more of an incentive. But that doesn't mean you can't ask. Hey, just ask.
True
I get
story.
it. A local business might not have the means like Walmart does.
True story. Probably 2 months ago, self checkout at Walmart. I asked the attendant, female, doesn't matter, but I said, "Hey, did you I picked her brain with what she wanted to do, so once
Right.
you're spending forever. Point being, did you know about the tuition reimbursement? Here's the answer. Huh?
No. Yep. Isn't that amazing? That is, I mean, it's shocking, but it's not. Like, I know it's weird saying that, but,
Yeah,
it is.
It almost was like I was making it up.
Right. Yeah. But it's so true. And I'm willing to bet she's not the only employee.
Right. All right. So I think we talked about music. Volunteering. So if I volunteer, do I get a scholarship or not? How's that work?
Yes. So this is where a lot of students kind of just, once again, they assume, hey, volunteer, it's just do it because my parents tell me to do it, and it makes me a good person. I tell you what, volunteering is one of the most crucial and one of the most beneficial scholarship attributes that you can have when you're writing your essay. Volunteering is huge. It shows your commitment, your dedication, and most importantly, your leadership qualities. That could be anywhere, a local hospital, a veterinary, whatever it is.
Yeah.
When you volunteer, and obviously you're doing it on your own time, not money. You're not getting paid for it. That's the big part. And so anytime, I don't care if it's 2 hours a weekend, that is quality time. And I always tell students that will pay off, especially when you are looking to apply for scholarships.
Right. Just don't do it 5 minutes before, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Plan accordingly. So to be honest with you, having gone through all my schooling and teaching and all that fun stuff, I really was oblivious to the fact that volunteering was an asset when it comes to this whole applying for college thing.
Yeah.
It seemed
Absolutely.
too much fluff for me, I guess. But yeah, that's cool.
Yep, absolutely. And just remember, I mean, it can be nonprofit. Most are nonprofit. I mean, it could be your local animal shelter. It can be community foundations. It could be the Salvation Army. I mean, it just I always tell students, go down your road, go down the main road where a lot of the stores are, especially local businesses. Volunteering is so, I mean, and I think sometimes the assumption is, oh, I got to be there all day, and every day. No, it's just, maybe it's every other weekend, or maybe, and I get it. You might have to get up a little early, but it will pay off. Just remember that it will pay off.
Okay. So let's tie this in. Again, we started off by saying this, that there's a large amount of money, Jay, that just goes unclaimed. Yep. So let's refresh. Why does it go unclaimed? And because of the reasons you're going to give us, what is the motive for those other folks to go out there and get them?
Yeah. So first, don't wait. Do your research now. And go to, I always tell students, I call it the old school approach. Go to the local businesses, show your face, show that you care. I've known students literally that have gone into local businesses. I wasn't one of them, but it's cool hearing about this. The students have gone into local businesses and they just asked, told them about their future endeavors. I'm looking to go to college, whatever the major was. Mm-hmm. And the local business was like, well, unfortunately, we don't have enough money to do it. But they, over time, within a year or two, they created a scholarship.
That's awesome.
And they actually remembered the kid who went in there and did it and offered it to him. Nice. So you just never know, but show your face, but don't wait. It's just common reason students don't apply. That's a big one that why billions of dollars are left, because of these assumptions we've talked about, these common misperceptions. Obviously missed deadlines. Usually all scholarships have deadlines. Now, some scholarships will move the deadline, extend it, and that's fine, but most don't. And so because of missed deadlines, the money just sits there. Lack of awareness. Once again, just not realizing, there are scholarships, as we've talked about, just basically for everything, right?
Here's a
And
question.
yeah,
Why do you think schools, we'll say high schools, I don't think they do a great job promoting
right,
um, scholarships, because if they did, some, right?
yep,
I'm just generalizing. If they
right,
did, I think you would see more productivity.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's just a simple fact. I've seen this in going in high schools. They just don't have enough resources because there's so many scholarships that are out there that you know, and everyone's going every which way, and some are staying local, some are going across the state. Now there are more local scholarships. Obviously, there are national scholarships, and because there are just more scholarships available, a lot of guidance counselors, and usually there's just one, and sometimes there's not
Yeah.
even a guidance counselor anymore. They don't have enough time and resources to get to these students. You know, I think the other one being the other two that I always give is incomplete applications. Now,
True.
sometimes the company or the organization will send you back a letter or an email saying, "Hey, your application is incomplete. Please fill it out." Sometimes the student forgets. Other times, um, you know, the incompletion then just gets thrown away, and the student doesn't get the money, and the money sits there. And the other one is, which is probably the biggest one, and we talked briefly about this, the fact that students, potential students, they don't think they're going to qualify, so they don't apply. So
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard about this. Well, I didn't. I wouldn't. There's no chance I'd get that, or I don't. I'm not good enough to apply for it, and so therefore, well, money's left there. So that's the biggest one that I see.
You almost have to raise your voice to people who don't get it.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
But here's the other thing, right? And you agree. Everybody should agree. You take a chance and get, you're out of your comfort zone
Yep.
in a
Yep.
good way. In a good way, you're selling yourself. Go knock knock local. I am always a big believer in starting local, right? Like you said. Um, but it's that fear. It's that, oh my goodness, I have to actually sell myself. I have to,
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
say
Right.
convince, but showcase who you are.
Yep. Yep. And you have to write an essay, and
Yeah.
sometimes that's a lot. And it, you know, back in our day, we didn't have Chat GPT, and so some students they go that route. It's like, oh, that'll write it for itself. I'm here to tell you, a lot of organizations will pick that up in a heartbeat. You know, they want to see the authentic, true self. We here at Elite Scholarship Prep, we offer that. We show you how to, you know, we go paragraph to paragraph, expertise in the field, showing you guys, you know, showing everyone really like this is what we want to showcase your abilities, sell yourself, you know. And so that's the important part is that now I'm not saying you know, a lot of students, they can go on ChatGPT and hey, what are some scholarships in my area? They, you know, that can help, but in terms of just writing it and that's it, no, like, because ChatGPT doesn't know your true authentic self, only you do, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other thing I always encourage students to do, and I learned this early too. A lot of times scholarships will ask you, you know, have the person who knows you best write about you,
Yeah,
you
I like
know,
that.
and do that, and then read it. And
Mm.
holy smokes, I've had a lot of students do that, and they've been awarded the scholarship because that person can be mom, dad, be boyfriend, girlfriend. I mean, it could be whoever knows you best,
Yeah, I like
you
that.
know,
Yeah.
and it's authentic,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I just encourage that. And students, you know, they look at me like, whoa, really? What? You know, because a lot of scholarships, they want to know who you are, you know, and some scholarships now are asking, you know, hey, you know, who are you? And then some scholarships will go to that route of have someone write, you know, write a piece of that speaks to yourself, that speaks to who you are, you know. And
So,
so I just love pieces like that. And that's where your true joy should come out, you know, in an essay, you know, and a scholarship essay doesn't have to be 5 pages. It's a page, if that, you know.
so let's segue into this, Jay, as we bring everything together and we start to
Yeah,
wrap this up. And again, thank you for joining. So
absolutely.
I heard that you are so good at what you do that you have this package, your essay consulting package that
Yeah,
is awesome because to
Yep.
your point, the essay is a big piece, and
Yep.
you are the guy. I've seen it, I've heard it. So, do you want to share anything about that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So elitescholarshipprep.com, you can go to the website. You can see we have an essay scholarship package where
Mhm.
we take pride in getting you ready for the college process. And once again, that usually happens 11th to 12th grade. It can happen sooner, especially with colleges offering early acceptance. And so we help with that process, and that's what it is. It's a process.
Mhm.
It's just not an essay. It's everything. It's FAFSA. It's admissions. It's just everything rolled into one. But one of the first steps, of course, interview process. One of the first steps is the essay process and the essay construction. So we have that as a subscription. And so for those that are looking to go that route, you can reach out. You can go to the website. You can click on the right tab on the page, top of the page, where it says book a free consultation. And then from there, we will schedule it and we'll get you on your path to success. So I love this just
Jay.
because I love writing. Yeah.
Sorry, I know we overlap. Two questions
okay.
regarding your consultation here with this. What should students be prepared mentally before as they contact you about this essay review piece? Like, you're going to tell them the way it is. So what I mean is, will you tell them?
Yep.
I know you're going to say yes, but let me make everybody aware. If
Yep.
you sense that their draft is AI, you're going to tell them.
Oh, absolutely. Believe me, I can tell right away. Because we, as faculty, we've been trained. No, I'm not going to scold you. I'm just going to say, hey, at the same time, let's rewrite this in your own words. And who are you? And so that's the important part. It doesn't mean you can't use AI. Everyone uses AI. It's just how you decide to use it. And once again, essays are only college acceptance essays and scholarships are only a page long at most. And so, and most students have had English and AP English. And so that's the key part is the fact that, hey, let's take pride in your writing. We help you construct that. And so that's a key part is just zeroing in, helping, guiding, and most importantly, gaining your confidence in writing. And that's what the package is all about, especially as then we put in, obviously, we can incorporate the college process and everything that comes with it.
Okay. So 3 things when they reach out to you with your help of essay, I'm going to expect what when I reach out to you?
Yeah. So we're going to number one, we're going to construct a detailed essay that speaks to you. And number two, revision. That's the one thing we do, like whether it's Google Meet, we do Zoom sessions. I just had one the other day where we get to sit down for an hour, sometimes longer, and we sit down and construct this and nice. Go line by line and make it fun. I don't want to make it boring, make it fun, energetic. That's who I am, especially in the classroom too. And then lastly, we make it speak, to who you are, and so that's the key component is constructing it. We brainstorm, and there are multiple ways to do this. And I've had some students who have used pie charts or to graph charts to brainstorming idea. We let you decide on that. But most importantly, we want to meet in the middle and have you speak to who you are, especially as it relates to, essay writing. And in this case, getting ready for the college process, the college acceptance process.
Now, I know it takes 2 to tango, right? You and the student and parent, whoever. Yep. What typically, what will be the turnaround time to get an essay finished?
Yeah, we do it. We do it now, depending on when the student reaches out, and we do it within a day or two. Boom.
Wow.
And so that's the key part is if it's not me, usually it is. We have employees that work in different specialties, and so that's the other key component too. Is that part. And so I always tell students, we don't want you waiting. We want you obviously growing and most importantly, getting you on your way. And so we want to be as, obviously quick to answer in timely fashion as we can, because at this time, usually college college essays and the whole college process, it can take time. And so the sooner you start, the better. And so, 1 to 2 days